Welcome to the FanDuel quarterback analysis for the divisional round. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. We'll be discussing quarterbacks today, basically breaking down each of them and a lack of a couple of them because we just don't want to play them at all. Overall, we get a red-hot Aaron Rodgers, who I think is just still top of the pack.
He's like in terms of buffalo wings, he's like, oh, that's really hot, and then ow, like this is gonna hurt me now and hurt when it's coming out. He's that right now, the highest level you can go.
He's like, if you eat 5, your picture goes on the wall hot.
Like ghost pepper. Yeah. Not ghost pepper, the hottest of the hot ones. I forget what they're called. But sometimes if you ever want to have like a fun hour, go on YouTube and watch dudes eat the hottest peppers in the world, and then they just die. They just lay there and hurt a lot. So that's pretty fun sometimes.
So in between pods and articles, I know what you do with your time.
Yeah. Certainly.
Looking at top QBs, and we'll start with Aaron Rodgers, who's your most expensive at 8,800. I still don't even feel like that's a bad price for him, at all.
No, that's fine. Obviously, 4 touchdowns in 3 straight games. That's impressive. So when you look at a guy against this they're okay, this mediocre Dallas secondary, obviously they have game flow on their side most of the time. But if Aaron Rodgers is going to continue to do this, early and often, he's going to be running up the score. And if he gets ahead on Dallas, we're going to see Dak Prescott in a position that we haven't seen him in very much this year. So the first 2 possessions are going to be really important for Green Bay. I really do believe that. They need to get that 7-point lead. They need to get up. They're trying to come back. If Dallas gets ahead, they're going to be able to run the ball on them and slowly pick away. Their defense isn't the Packers defense isn't good enough to, shut them down for an entire game if they're running the ball well. So we're going to have to see Aaron Rodgers light it up. I think he will. 8,800. 30 points. I think he's getting 30 again. So, that's kind of how you view that cash game. Safer than Tom Brady, I think, just because
there's no Blount.
There's no Blount. There's no running game. There's no chance of just Brock Osweiler multiple pick sixes. I could see the Patriots win 40-13 in so many different ways. That just ends in an obliteration, and only one of them really is, Brady throwing 4 touchdowns. And even if he throws 4 touchdowns, I'm not all that confident he throws for over 300 yards. It could just be 4 touchdowns and 200 yards in the first half, and then they just run the clock out. So I just think Rodgers has so much upside because of his game,
Yeah, I do too. And we'll jump to the other side of that game with Dak Prescott. I'm a big fan of him this week, and I think because I just look at this defense, I'm still not impressed. I know they went out and did their job against Odell Beckham, who they basically blanketed the entire game. I don't think they're going to be able to do that type of stuff because of the offensive line, because of the run game. It's so balanced here in Dallas that it's going to put those corners in a lot of exposure situations where I think Prescott and Des Bryant and Williams and Beasley are all going to make them pay for it. So you said this earlier in the week, it's your favorite correlation game. I'm in agreement because you can use Dak Prescott and Bryant and then Adams on the other side, or Cobb, and both of them. You could just completely game stack this one and feel pretty good about it. And it's not expensive. It's not expensive.
Totally agree. And you mentioned Dak. If we want to look at the box score, dude, why did he only completed 4 passes for 38 yards 2 weeks ago? So how good can he really be? No, 7,700. That's a really nice price for a guy. As you mentioned, him and Des Bryant only cost, let's do some math here, 14.9 together. Woo! The math minutes. You ever do math minutes where you had to do multiplication and see who could do the most equations in a minute?
Yeah.
I was always middle of the pack in those, so
that's
I
fair.
just showed off my Yeah, I was always like,
You're not surprising anyone here, Russ.
I was like slightly above average. You know what I'm saying? Like I was never first, but sometimes I could chip into the top 5 and I'd like be happy with that
But that's
finish.
because like 3 of the kids that were usually there like missed school that day.
No joke. I would be pumped if I knew it was a math minute day and like I saw someone wasn't there. Like, oh, this is great. I'm moving up in the rankings here.
Because like you
Uh,
didn't know what an asterisk next to the record was yet at that age.
no,
Like,
no, no. A win's a win.
you know.
Um, so but when you look at Dak and Dez together, I mean, that's a great combination. I could easily see that combining for 40 points. If that does, I mean, you're looking at a uh, really nice lineup construction for the rest of your lineup. As you mentioned, you got the other side of that game, which has a lot of positives in terms of Dak. If Rodgers is scoring, then Dak's probably going to be scoring too. So I love that game. So I certainly am in there. Next question is Matt Ryan versus defense. What is your take? Because I don't think I've heard it yet. On Matt Ryan.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about Matt Ryan. And obviously I'm looking at this game. We're talking here, and it's just like I can see it going two ways where it just turns into a shootout. But I could also see it where it's like maybe just a sloppy game on both sides. Like maybe we do get Matt Ryan who doesn't look like regular season Matt Ryan, and we get kind of a gross outing. And then we get the typical Russell Wilson splits on the road where he hasn't been that good. And it just kind of turns into like maybe you just get Rawls punching it in for one, a Coleman running or pass off for one. And it just becomes kind of ugly 2017, 23-17 game. But I could also see a shootout both ways. Like it could happen.
This game's really hard. And I know like Vegas is kind of making it, you know, but in terms of this game, this is a tough one to gauge. Matt Ryan has been amazing this year. I love the offense and the way they're running. They should be able to figure this out. But what do we really have to go on for Matt Ryan in the playoffs? This certainly looks like a different type of year. I expect it to be. I like Matt Ryan. I think he could get 25 FD points. But, like you said, it could be a really ugly game as well. Seattle, they are below average at this point against the pass, but the way Atlanta beats people or has been beating people are on like these little like screens and stuff like that. I could see Julio having a big day. Screens are necessarily going to be there this week,
Yeah, so I mean, I think we can just like for me, I'm just mainly looking to get exposure to that game through guys like Julio Jones and Paul Richardson and some shares of Doug Baldwin. Like,
yeah,
that's just how I see it. I just don't think their prices are far enough away from Brady or Rodgers, like to even come close to hitting their ceiling. Like it's there, but do I need to really take that risk for 500 more when I don't think there's going to be that much of a difference if there is one coming into the game?
tough to talk yourself into Ryan over Brady, for 300, only 300 more. I think Brady's got such a higher floor. But all three are in play. Russell Wilson, the only real way I see him getting 30 points is if they get crushed early and then he's in comeback mode the whole second half. Other than that, I don't know. I like him, but as you mentioned, get Doug Baldwin shares and then kind of log out after that.
Yeah, I don't trust the Seattle offensive line right now. That's really where it comes down to. Like I just don't think it holds up for an entire 4 quarters. And I don't know, 8,200 is still expensive. I don't mind it in like a correlation type of way if you're building multiple lines, but that's probably the only way that I'm going to roll him out there.
Right. Ben Roethlisberger facing the Chiefs. Obviously got hurt last week at the end. On the road, 8,100. Ooh, he's definitely my fifth favorite in that price range. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. 8,100. It's cheap, but it's not a tremendous difference from like Rodgers, who's only 700 more. Yeah, I mean, his numbers on the road haven't been good this year. For me, I just feel like it's going to be Le'Veon Bell, 30 rushing attempts. Roethlisberger may get his 200, 250, and maybe a touchdown or two. I really can't see him blowing up for anything more than that. So for me, it just seems like his ceiling's a little bit capped in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then we kind of get into Brock Osweiler and Alex Smith. And, this is probably going to be my last week of playing NFL DFS. And I don't see why I wouldn't throw a little Alex Smith action in there to cap off the year.
You better. Because you've done it 5 or 6 weeks this season. So you have to. I mean, there's no way you can go out on 26.
What's unfortunate is, I didn't nail him on a rushing touchdown week. It just seemed to end up that all of his rushing touchdowns were week 15, 16, 17. Usually that's a little more spread out, and that's kind of what I was banking on some of those weeks. Didn't happen. He has shown some of that upside, especially 2 weeks ago against Denver. I think that is what we're looking at here. If he can get 20, are you okay with that, or is that still maybe not enough on this slate?
No, I think it is. 6,800. I mean, you plug him in. That's probably a difference in between making your third wide receiver an elite upgrade. I think it's okay. I mean, if he does get 22, 23 points, obviously I think that's pretty much his max ceiling. Gets that rushing touchdown, I'm fine with it. Like, you can plug in Bell, you can get 3 good quality wide receivers this week.
Imagine if he had a healthy Jamal Charles this year too with Tyreek Hill. That offense would have been so good. Instead, they were just like, okay. They would have been really good if they had a healthy Charles this year. But that's besides the point. You're not taking a chance on Osweiler, are you?
I rather play – let me scroll down.
Oh, what do you got?
I rather play Brett Hundley than Brock Osweiler at this point.
Brett Hundley, wow.
Yeah, 5K.
Who's Jake Heaps?
I have no idea.
Jake Heaps.
Joe Callahan.
Oh, boy.
Zach Mettenberger.
Oh, boy.
So, needless to say, I think Brock Osweiler's cut. Stop.
Wait, is Matt Schaub still in the league?
Yeah, he's backing up Matt Ryan down there.
Wow.
Yeah, superstar Matt Schaub.
That's wild. Wow. I remember him playing for Oakland, I swear, a few years ago, and he had like a 4-interception game, and I just thought, oh, he's retiring after this game. But it looks like he held up, and he's still in the league somehow, so that's good for him.
He may be. I mean, who knows with these player pools.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But we have some big news, an announcement to make here, as we're our last pod together for NFL. So we'll make the announcement. It's your last pod as of now with DFC. Fox. You're heading out, doing glorious things,
doing school, heading back to school. And things are gonna be weird, but getting back to normal people life is gonna be a weird. I was never used to normal people life anyway, so, it'll be weird, and I'll be weird again. But you know what? Hey, it was fun, and obviously I enjoyed my time here and joking around with Jason. That's all I got.
That's it? I mean, any life lessons you want to give the people as you head out? Because your words of wisdom have been communicated in various ways throughout the year.
Words of wisdom, I would say, much like my Christmas, watch before life's over. Watch as many Nick Cage movies as you can, and you don't truly enjoy life until you've seen a mid-1990s like Nick Cage prominent role self-narration type movie.
Generally, you shoot for the ones that take place in an airplane as well.
Yeah,
the majority in
an airplane or like New York City. And like he's uncomfortable, and yeah. So
going through
if there's one thing I would really want people to do is watch more Nick Cage movies.
Well, that's it. Your parting words with our viewers is watch more Nick Cage movies.
Yeah.
So, if you want to check out Russ's article, if you want to check out our article on FanDuel quarterbacks, it's not Russ's. You can head on our Dave Fantasy Cafe. If you want to follow Russ and all his crazy antics and Brandon LaFell notes, you can head on over to his Twitter at Russell J. Clay. Give him a follow because that's it. man. You're done.
That's it.
Yeah. I have no sign off for you.
We don't need a sign off.
No, it's just turn in your work on time.
Sniffling.
So that's going to wrap things up here. Be sure to check out the rest of our divisional round content.